placed the ad. He picked the players. He named them off a Muddy Waters record lying on the floor.
Feeling like I do today.
7 years later, 3 of his own bandmates drove out to his farmhouse and told him he wasn't in his band anymore.
Goodbye.
You know about the swimming pool. The pool isn't the story. 10 turns of the screw got him there.
Once I was
10. Oldham rebuilt the band's economy, and Brian wasn't in it. This part gets a little messy, but stay with me, because everything after it depends on it. Oldham did the math that every manager in Britain was doing in 1963. Lennon and McCartney weren't just writing hits, they were owning them. Publishing. That's where the real money lives. A covers band, no matter how good, is renting. So Oldham went to work on Jagger and Richards. Keith's version is famous. Oldham shut the 2 of them in a kitchen in a grim little flat with some food, a couple of guitars, no access to the bathroom, and told them not to come out without a song. They came out with As Tears Go By. Mick's version? He says it never happened like that. He says Oldham may have threatened to lock them in a room, and mentally that's exactly what he did. But nobody turned a key. Nobody really knows. 2 men, 1 kitchen, 60 years of retelling. Pick your favorite. But here's what nobody disputes. From that point on, the Rolling Stones had a songwriting partnership, and Brian Jones was not in it. And Oldham did try. He genuinely did. He paired Brian up with Gene Pitney, a real songwriter and an old client, and asked him to pull something out of the guy. Two days of sessions, nothing worth keeping. Oldham's read on it later was blunt and, I think, honest. Brian was dismissive of the whole process, but he wanted what the process paid. And that's the uncomfortable truth sitting under this entire story. Nobody stole songwriting from Brian Jones. He couldn't do it. He was the most naturally gifted musician in the room, and he could not write a song to save his life. But watch what that does to a band's power structure. Overnight, the 2 men who write are the 2 men who matter. The founder becomes an employee of the thing he founded. Nobody voted, nobody announced it, it just became true. If you were following the charts in 64 and 65, you watched it happen in real time and you had no idea. The credits changed, and that was the whole revolution. 9. He made himself easy to resent. This is the part most retellings skip, and skipping it makes the story a lie, because it would be very easy to sit here and tell you Brian Jones was a pure victim. He wasn't. He was at times genuinely hard to be around, and he spent years making the case against himself. Oldham wrote that when the first tours got booked in 1963, Brian traveled separately from the band, stayed at different hotels, asked for extra money. On a rickety package tour where the rest of them were crammed in a van eating chips, the founder was riding a part and billing for the privilege. Then there's the Rice Krispies thing. In 1963, the band recorded a 30-second serial jingle for Kellogg's, worked up with the ad agency, and the credit went to Brian alone. The rest of the band saw a group effort with one name on the check, and they did not love it. Bill Wyman, who was maybe the fairest witness in the whole band, described two completely different Brians living in one body, one shy, sensitive, thoughtful. The other a preening peacock who needed constant reassurance. Wyman's summary of him is the one I can't shake. He pushed every friendship past the limit and kept pushing. Charlie Watts, Charlie, who never said a cruel word about anybody, said Brian did everything to excess and simply wasn't built strong enough to survive any of it. Both things are true at once. He was being systematically pushed to the edge of his own band, and he was behaving in a way that made pushing him feel justified. Those aren't competing explanations. That's the same doom loop everybody who's ever been slowly frozen out of something has lived through. You get treated like an outsider, so you act like one, so they treat you more like one. I know some of you are going to fight me on this one, and honestly, good. This is the exact spot where reasonable Stones fans split.
Let's look at the numbers. Only 9% of you are actually subscribed. Honestly, that's tough to see. Our team spends days hunting down archives and verifying every single fact just to tell these stories right. If you've made it this far into the video, you're clearly part of the community, so please hit subscribe. It costs nothing and helps us immensely. Now, for those already subscribed, very few of you have made the jump to our membership, and that's a hard pill to swallow because you're the ones who know our value best. If this channel has moved you or inspired you, consider joining. It's the price of one coffee, but it's the literal fuel for this channel. Let's keep this alive together. Back to the story.
The 7, his riff, their song, their publishing, The Last Time. February 1965. 3 weeks at #1 in Britain, and it matters more than any of their earlier chart toppers, because this is the first Jagger Richards original to get there. This is the moment the songwriting bet pays off in public. Now put the record on in your head, not the vocal, that looping, needling, circular guitar figure that runs through the whole thing and never lets up. That's the hook. That's what makes the record work. Brian played it. That's not a rumor, and it's not a fan theory. Film of the band performing it in 1965 shows exactly who's playing what. Keith on the chords and the solo, Brian playing the hook on his white teardrop-shaped Vox.
Well, I told you once and I told you twice.
And in an August 1965 magazine interview, Keith himself laid it out plainly. He played the figure on Satisfaction. Brian played the one on The Last Time.
Tomorrow. Well, this could be.
Keith said it on the record, in print. And the label says Jagger Richards. Now, I want to be fair here because it matters. Playing a part isn't the same as writing a composition, and the line between the two is genuinely blurry in a band that worked things up on the floor. Every rhythm section in history has this argument. Nobody was breaking any rules. But you understand the shape of it, right?
Oh no.
The founder of the band plays the most memorable thing on the record that proves the band doesn't need him. And the money from that record goes to the two men who now run it.
Someone have to pay the price.
That's not theft. That's worse, in a way. That's structure. There's nobody to be angry at. There's no villain in the room. There's just an arrangement that quietly converts your contribution into somebody else's asset over and over on every single for years. If you've ever built the thing that made the project work and then watched the credit settle somewhere else, not stolen, just settled, you know there's no clean way to complain about it. You'd sound petty, so you don't say anything. And and it eats you. Brian didn't say anything. He went and found something they couldn't take. 6. He became their secret weapon and it saved nobody. 1966. This is Brian Jones's masterpiece year, and he barely touches a guitar to do it. Bored, sidelined, out of the songwriting business, he did something nobody in rock had thought to do.
The way she talks when she's
He decided that if he couldn't write the songs, he'd become the sound of them. Paint It Black, that's Brian on sitar. And he hadn't just picked one up for the photo. He'd studied under Hari Har Rao, a disciple of Ravi Shankar.
under my thumb. Say so.
When that record hit #1, it became the first chart-topping single anywhere built around a sitar. He didn't dabble in it. He weaponized it under my thumb. Take away Brian's marimba, and there's no song there.
Under my thumb, she's the sweetest.
That's the hook. That's the entire personality of the record. Lady Jane, Appalachian dulcimer, turns a Jagger lyric into something that sounds like it drifted in from 1580.
Under my thumb.
And that's one album cycle. Over the next 18 months, he'd add recorder, mellotron, saxophone, oboe, harpsichord, auto harp. Whatever the song needed, he'd find it, learn it fast, and play something on it nobody else would have imagined.
Under my thumb. It's a squirrel.
Here's what's wild about it. In this stretch, Brian Jones is arguably the most creatively important member of the Rolling Stones.
Siamese cat of a girl.
The Jagger-Richards songs are great, and it's Brian who makes them strange, which is the thing that separated the Stones from every other blues band in a suit.
Under my thumb. Yeah, feels alright.
He is completely indispensable. He is also completely invisible, because that's not how credit works.
It's down to me. The change has come. She's under my.
Credit follows the writing, always has. You can put the sound of a decade on a record, and the label still says 2 other names, and the royalty statement agrees with the label. And that's the loneliest position in any creative business.
My thumb. A girl who has just.
Not being ignored, being essential and ignored at the same time, being the reason it works while the paperwork says you were a session player on your own band's records. He'd found the one thing they couldn't take from him, so the story turned to the things they could.
Pet in the world. It's down to me.
Vive, the most beautiful thing he ever played, and what it cost him.
I'm on you when you change with every.
January 1967, Ruby Tuesday. You've heard it 1,000 times, and you may never have registered what you were hearing. That fragile, wandering little melody line that carries the whole song, that's a recorder, not a flute.
Before they slip away.
A recorder, the thing they hand out in primary school, Brian Jones sat in the studio and played a school instrument with such delicacy that the engineer, Eddie Kramer, said he was amazed both by the idea and by the playing.
Don't question why she needs.
It's the single most vulnerable sounding thing on any Rolling Stones record, and it's the last time Brian Jones would be truly great in a studio.
Goodbye, Ruby Tuesday.
Now here's the part that never quite got settled. Marianne Faithfull said Brian brought an early version of the Ruby Tuesday melody to the band. Victor Bacchus reported that Keith and Brian worked out the final tune together in the studio. Credited to Jagger-Richards.
She comes and goes.
And decades later, in 1995, when a Rolling Stone interviewer asked Mick about Brian and songwriting, Mick didn't hedge. He said Brian had no talent for it, that he'd never known anyone with less, about the man who found the sitar riff, the marimba hook, the dulcimer, and possibly that melody.
Ruby Tuesday, who could hang a name?
Now, is Mick lying? I don't actually think so. I think Mick genuinely means songs, verses, choruses, structure, lyrics, and by that standard, he's telling the truth.
Who could hang a name on you?
Brian couldn't build a song. But listen to what he built instead, and then read that sentence again, and tell me it doesn't land like a boot.
To a life where nothing's gained or nothing's.
That's the thing about being the guy who contributes something the industry has no category for. There's no word for what Brian did.
You may lose your mind.
So when people summarize you later, they use the words that exist. And the words that exist say, he wasn't a writer.
On you when you change with every.
That's a specific kind of erasure. Not being forgotten, being filed wrong. For Morocco, late February 1967. The Stones are in trouble at home. Keith's Redlands house has been raided. Mick and Keith are facing charges that could genuinely end the band. And the plan is to disappear to Morocco for a while. Mick flies. Keith, Brian, and Brian's girlfriend Anita Pallenberg take the Bentley down through France and Spain with a driver. 2 days in, Brian gets sick. Respiratory infection. He'd had asthma since he was 4 years old. The doctors in Toulouse put him in a hospital bed and won't let him travel. He tells the others to go on ahead. He'll catch up. He spends his 25th birthday alone in a French hospital. And in the back of his own bandmate's Bentley, rolling south without him, Keith Richards and Anita Pallenberg become a couple. That's the version you've heard. Bandmate steals girlfriend while founder lies sick in a hospital bed. Perfect villainy, clean lines. Here's the part that ruins the clean version. Brian Jones beat Anita Pallenberg. Repeatedly. At one point he broke his own hand on her face. When he caught up with them in Tangier, he behaved so appallingly toward her in a hotel room that Keith's response was essentially, "We're leaving, now." And they left. She left him because staying was dangerous. So which is it? It's both. That's the answer. He was abandoned in a hospital by people who were already betraying him, and she was escaping a man who was hurting her, and Keith, whatever his motives, got her out. You can hold both of those. You have to, actually, or you're not telling the story, you're telling a fairy tale. But understand what it did to the band. Keith Richards and Brian Jones had been the two guys in the freezing flat on Edith Grove, teaching each other blues records for 18 months. That was the real marriage at the center of the Rolling Stones. It never recovered. From March 1967 on, the man Brian had to stand next to on stage every night was the man who'd taken the one thing he couldn't replace. 3. They turned his amplifier off.
To pass through here.
2 drug convictions in 13 months. May 1967, police find cannabis, cocaine, and methamphetamine in his flat.
You pay my.
October, he's sentenced to 9 months. December, the appeal succeeds. No prison, £1,000 fine, 3 years probation, mandatory medical supervision.
Here and then.
His defense had brought in psychiatrists who told the court he was potentially suicidal. May 1968. Busted again. This time fined £50 and warned by a judge who clearly felt sorry for him. He survived the courts. He did not survive what came after. Because by 1968 and into 69, Brian Jones was not functioning, not struggling, not functioning. He'd show up to sessions late or not at all. When he did show up, he often had nothing to give. One account has him trying to play harmonica and bleeding from the mouth.
Through here.
And here's the detail that I cannot get past. On the sessions where he did turn up and try to play, his bandmates would sometimes just turn his amplifier off. Not throw him out, Not confront him, just quietly cut the signal and let him stand there playing to nobody while Keith laid down all the guitars.
Like the diamond you throw.
I want you to sit with that image because it's the whole story compressed into one room. The man who founded the band, standing in the studio with his hands moving, making no sound at all.
The water, the splashes.
He wasn't gone yet. He was already inaudible. His final real contribution as a guitarist is the slide on No Expectations from Beggar's Banquet in 1968. And it's gorgeous, which somehow makes it worse.
A rich man. Now
On Let It Bleed, the album they were making when the end came, he managed 2 credits, auto harp on You Got the Silver, percussion on Midnight Rambler, 2.
is before.
December 1968, Rock and Roll Circus. His last performance with the Rolling Stones. Everybody in the building could feel it. Daltrey and Townsend both said afterward they were watching a man play his last show.
Is like our music.
And if you've ever watched somebody you love become unreachable, where the person is right there and the person is also completely gone, you already know there's no clean moment where it happens. It's just a series of days where slightly less of them shows up.
Your heart is
2. 3 men drive to a farmhouse.
pleased to meet you.
Cochford Farm, Sussex. Brian bought it in November 1968. Here's a detail I didn't know until I went digging, and it stopped me cold.
I watch a good
Cochford Farm was A. Milne's house, the place where Winnie the Pooh was written, 100-acre wood country. That's where Brian Jones went to get away from the Rolling Stones. June 8, 1969. Mick, Keith, and Charlie drive out there. The stated reason is practical and frankly real.
but what's puzzling you is just a nature.
The band hadn't toured America in 3 years. They needed to, and management had been told Brian wouldn't get a U.S. work permit with 2 drug convictions on him.
God save me. I shouted out, Gail Kennedy.
It was Ian Stewart, Stu, of all people, the first man they'd removed, who suggested they bring in another guitarist. So they sat in his house and told him the band he started would be going on without him.
My game.
Charlie later said he couldn't remember the details, only that it wasn't very nice. He remembered Mick and Keith saying they couldn't keep going like this, and Charlie's honest verdict was that they were right. They did need somebody else.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
The terms, 100,000 pounds up front and 20,000 a year for as long as the Rolling Stones existed.
Well, after all, it was you and me.
And then the thing that I think is the cruelest kindness in this entire story. They told him he was fired, and then they told him he could tell the world however he wanted. So on June 9th, Brian Jones put out a statement saying he was leaving, of his own accord, because the music Mick and Keith were writing had moved away from his taste, which was true, which was also cover.
Pleased to meet you.
He got to walk out with his dignity in a paper bag. He wrote his own exit line for a door that had already been locked behind him. 20-year-old Mick Taylor was announced as his replacement. Some of you are hearing that number for the first time. 20.
Well, then, Chase. An alley trap.
Alexis Corner went out to see Brian a few weeks later and said he seemed happier than he'd ever seen him. He was demoing his own songs. He was making calls. Corner, Stu, John Lennon, Ringo, Mitch Mitchell, Alan Price, about putting a band together.
Hey. I'm going to tank and a generous ring.
1 July 3rd and the 2 days after it.
And will humbly remain.
Around midnight, the night of July 2nd into the 3rd, 1969, Brian Jones was found at the bottom of his swimming pool at Cochford Farm.
I pledged my troth to Lady J.
He was 27 years old. the coroner recorded death by misadventure. The report noted that his liver and his heart were both badly enlarged by years of drinking and drugs.
The sands have run out.
There have been murder theories ever since. A builder, a fight over money, a deathbed confession, a Sussex police review in 2009 that found nothing new.
Lady Anne, I've done what I...
His own children believe he was killed. That argument will outlive all of us, and I'm not going to pretend to settle it here. But it's the 2 days after that tell you everything about how this band related to the man who made it. July 5th, Hyde Park. The Stones had a free concert booked. It was supposed to be Mick Taylor's debut. Somewhere between 250,000 and 500,000 people came.
My sweet Lady Jane.
Fans had started arriving the night before with candles. Mick stood up in a white Mr. Fish dress coat and read 2 stanzas of Shelley's Adonai, an elegy Shelley wrote for Keats. Then they released the butterflies. Thousands of white butterflies, boxed up for the occasion. Most of them had died in the boxes. It had been too hot. Charlie said afterward there were casualties. A few managed to get up into the air over Hyde Park, and the rest just fell out. I don't know that there's a better image for the whole thing than that.
For your lady and me.
At the funeral in Cheltenham, 2 Rolling Stones showed up, Charlie Watts and Bill Wyman. Mick was flying to Australia to start filming Ned Kelly, and the position was that the contract didn't allow a delay.
Your time has come, my love.
26 years later, a Rolling Stone interviewer asked Mick if he felt guilty. Mick said no, not really, but he admitted they'd behaved childishly.
I must take my...
And he said plainly that in some ways they picked on him. He also said Brian made himself a target, and that nobody back then understood addiction at all. That's about as honest as anyone in that band ever got.
My sweet Lady Jane.
Bill Wyman went further. In 2002, he said Brian was entitled to a free pardon. And then the line that finishes this whole story for me: the Rolling Stones damaged every single one of them, and Brian was the only one who died from it.
Your servant am I.